Victims of Iran-sponsored terrorist attacks are seeking a court order to claim $344 million in USDT that Tether froze in coordination with U.S. authorities. This action has set up a legal fight over who controls frozen stablecoin assets and how they can be recovered. The case is unfolding in the Southern District of New York, where victims are requesting a judicial order to direct the frozen funds toward compensation. This is not a final recovery, but a procedural step that must clear the court before any distribution can occur. Tether confirmed it supported the freeze of more than $344 million in USDT in coordination with the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, and U.S. law enforcement. The freeze placed the funds beyond the reach of the wallets that previously held them. What makes this situation unique is the nature of USDT itself. Unlike self-custodied cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin or Ethereum, USDT can be frozen at the issuer level. Tether maintains the ability to blacklist specific addresses on the Ethereum blockchain, rendering the tokens at those addresses unmovable regardless of who holds the private keys. This issuer-level control is what made the $344 million freeze possible without requiring cooperation from exchanges or wallet providers. For victims pursuing legal recovery, this mechanism creates a path that does not exist with fully decentralized assets, where seizure typically requires obtaining private keys or exchange cooperation. The distinction matters for the broader stablecoin market. USDT is widely used, and the legal and technical implications of this case could set a precedent for how issuer-controlled stablecoins are treated in asset recovery cases. The fact that Tether can act unilaterally on the blockchain introduces a new layer of complexity in the legal and regulatory framework surrounding stablecoins. This is particularly significant because it shows how centralized stablecoins can be used as. Most people arrive after the move is obvious and the easy upside is gone. We focus on serious crypto education and high-quality signals before the crowd rushes in, so you can understand the setup earlier and move sooner. If you want that edge, visit the link below now. Tools for asset control in ways that decentralized cryptocurrencies cannot. The legal battle is not just about recovering funds for victims. It's also about setting a legal precedent regarding the rights of asset issuers versus the rights of victims in cases involving frozen assets. If the court sides with the victims, it could establish a framework for recovering funds from issuer-controlled stablecoins in other cases. If Tether resists or the court rules in its favor, it could reinforce the power of centralized stablecoin issuers to control assets without needing to involve exchanges or wallet providers. The technical mechanism at play here is the ability of Tether to blacklist addresses on the Ethereum blockchain. This is a feature of USDT that allows the issuer to prevent tokens from being moved from specific addresses. This is different from decentralized cryptocurrencies, where the ability to move funds is determined solely by the holder of the private key. In this case, the frozen USDT is effectively inaccessible to the original holders, and the victims are seeking a court order to have those funds transferred to them as compensation. This situation raises questions about the balance of power in the crypto ecosystem. On one side, you have victims who are seeking justice and compensation for attacks they suffered. On the other side, you have a stablecoin issuer who has the technical and legal ability to freeze assets on a blockchain. The legal battle is about who has the right to control those assets and under what conditions. This could have broader implications for how stablecoins are used in legal and financial contexts, especially when it comes to asset recovery and compliance with U.S. law enforcement directives. The next signal to watch is the court's decision on the victim's request for a formal order directing the frozen funds toward compensation. This could set a legal precedent that affects not just this case, but future cases involving frozen stablecoin assets. The court's ruling will likely depend on how it interprets the rights of victims versus the rights of the issuer in cases where assets are frozen in coordination with U.S. authorities. If the court rules in favor of the victims, it could open the door for more legal action targeting frozen stablecoin assets in similar cases. If it rules in favor of Tether, it could reinforce the issuer's control and make it more difficult for victims to recover assets in the future. The broader implications of this case go beyond the specific amount of $344 million in USDT. It highlights the growing intersection between blockchain technology and traditional legal systems. As stablecoins become more widely used, the legal and regulatory frameworks surrounding them will need to evolve to address new challenges. Most people arrive after the move is obvious and the easy upside is gone. We focus on serious crypto education and high-quality signals before the crowd rushes in, so you can understand the setup earlier and move sooner. If you want that edge, visit the link below now. This case is a test of how well those frameworks can handle situations where centralized stablecoin issuers have the ability to freeze assets on a blockchain. It also raises questions about the role of U.S. authorities in coordinating such freezes and the extent to which they can influence asset control on a blockchain. The outcome of this case could also affect how stablecoin issuers approach compliance and asset control in the future. If the court sides with the victims, it could encourage more legal action targeting frozen stablecoin assets, which could lead to changes in how issuers handle asset freezes. If the court sides with Tether, it could reinforce the idea that stablecoin issuers have the right to control assets on a blockchain without needing to involve exchanges or wallet providers. Either way, the case is likely to have a lasting impact on the stablecoin market and the legal framework surrounding it.